So now I'm looking at yours. There's another double bill here. I think this is the Cabin Fever double bill. It's The
Oh
Shining
yeah.
and Last Year at Marienbad. So The
Yes. Now
Shining,
that
obviously quite familiar with, but I don't know the other movie.
well, the other movie is an interesting one. That was one of those movies that it was like I'd had it on Blu-ray forever, and it was a movie that my parents would talk about a lot because it's a famously, even infamously, um, uh, confusing. I saw almost like a dream jigsaw film. It was basically
Oh.
an art house film, a French film from 1961, and it was famous for kind of baffling audiences. That it's something. It's a bit like looking at a magic eye. Is that you're kind of watching this movie, which has seems to have like twin narratives in either different times or different dimensions, and it never resolves itself. So it's almost like watching a twist movie. Film without the twist. So it never resolves itself, and it's just asking you to kind of like take away, to go away and you kind of work out what happened. Even the trailer, I watched the trailer after I watched it, and the trailer, probably in an attempt to try and sell it to American audiences, says a new phenomenon in filmmaking where you are the author. And I'm like, okay, don't make the audience do that much legwork. The idea of like, hey, this film, like, only you can solve this. We don't know what it's about, but maybe you can.
No
But what
pressure.
was interesting. My parents had talked about it a lot as like one of those movies where they said, "Oh yes, we saw that last year in Marienbad. Couldn't understand it. You couldn't make head nor tail of it. It was like everybody was talking about it. So it's obviously like a real conversation piece film, like one of those like films of that time where everybody saw it and
Mhm.
it was a subject of much discussion. So this was another one I watched at 6 a.m. in the morning, and it was like the perfect film to watch at 6 a.m. in the morning because you do feel like you're getting a contact high off it, and it does look absolutely stunning. It's so beautifully made. So if you can get the Blu-ray, like it's just like looks knockout. And when you watch it, it's also one of those films where you think, you know what? I haven't seen this film before, but I've seen so many music videos that have ripped it off.
Oh, that's
Ah.
Or
interesting.
like it specifically, there's a Blur video for the song "To the End," which is kind of like straight up doing "Last Year at Marienbad." And also weirdly, I think the other person who was clearly influenced it was Stanley Kubrick because The Shining, especially in the kind of the gold bar, feels very much like Last Year at Marienbad, and the very ending of 2001 has a vibe of it as well.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was clearly like, and it's not. I wouldn't say Last Year at Marienbad is not a horror movie. It's like a sort of cinematic puzzle, and I'm sure some people would probably find it the most baffling movie they've ever seen. But it's so gorgeous to look at. All of the costumes are by Coco Chanel.
Oh, wow,
Like it just
really?
like yeah, it just looks knockout. I mean, it's if you go into it knowing that like it's okay if you don't understand it by the end, then it was the perfect 6 a.m. with an espresso movie because I felt like I was still dreaming.